Today's top stories. After a bullying incident in Ateneo goes viral, DepEd orders schools to implement measures against bullying. The government of Qatar seeks to sign more cooperation and trade agreements with the Philippines. The DENR prepares measures to clean up and prevent pollution in Manila Bay. And the government prepares for the 500th anniversary of Christianity in the Philippines.
Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Social media exploded with reactions over the viral video of a bullying incident involving a high school student from Ateneo de Manila. In response, the Department of Education calls on schools to enforce steps to stop campus bullying. Rom Dulfo has the story.
The Education Department reminds public and private schools about the adoption and enforcement of anti-bullying policies. This after a couple of videos showing a junior high school student in Ateneo de Manila University bullying a boy in the bathroom went viral on Thursday. DepEd orders to implement the child protection policy, which institutionalizes zero tolerance against any form of violence against a child and provides for the establishment of a child protection committee in all schools. DepEd also cites the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013, which requires schools to submit copies of their respective child protection policies to their division office. DepEd also encouraged learners who experience or witness bullying, abuse, or retaliation to report verified incidents to appropriate authorities. Meanwhile, the victims, bullies, and other parties in the bullying incident must undergo intervention strategies to enhance psychological, emotional, and psychosocial well-being. The CPC and school personnel must treat the identity of and personal circumstances of bullies, victims, or witnesses with utmost confidentiality. For its part, Ateneo de Manila Junior High School Principal Jose Antonio Salvador says the Bullying Act constitutes a serious violation of conduct. He assures the school is dealing with this matter seriously. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The military would not stop combat operations against the New People's Army amid the attack and hostage-taking incident involving 12 CAFCU members and 2 soldiers in Sibagat, Agusan del Sur. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says they would not allow the rebels to use the captured troops as leverage. This following the statement of CPP founding chair Jose Maria Sison asking the military to stop its offensives in exchange for their release. AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Noel Detoyato says a board of inquiry has been formed to investigate the rebel raid in Sibagat. Meanwhile, 4th Infantry Division Commander Major General Ronald Villanueva stresses that they will continue their rescue operations for the captured troops, adding that they will not negotiate with terrorists. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources will further intensify the crackdown on pollution in Manila Bay starting next year. The DNR is scheduled to meet next month with stakeholders to discuss measures to reduce the volume of garbage along Manila Bay. Environment Secretary Roy Simato notes that Manila Bay is unfit for swimming due to extremely high coliform levels. Simato says the DENR plans to use some of its funds to help rehabilitate Manila Bay. Meanwhile, Environment Undersecretary Benny Antiporda said DNR is coordinating with the Department of the Interior and local government to relocate informal settlers in areas bordering Manila Bay. Experts have linked pollution in Manila Bay mainly to land-based activities, including discharge of wastes from factories and residents. The Department of Transportation calls on motorcycle ride-hailing firm Angkas to follow the order of the Supreme Court to stop its operations. The department also urged the firm to have a dialogue to discuss issues related to its operations as a public transportation service. Among the issues raised by the DOTR are the types of motorcycles to be permitted, acceptable travel speed of motorcycles for hire, and access to roads, among others. It also raised the need to ensure the safety of passengers and who would take responsibility in case of an accident. DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugada has ordered the LTFRB to apprehend angkas bikers who deliberately defy the order of the Supreme Court. Angkas continues to insist on the safety and reliability of its rides, despite the law prohibiting motorcycles to operate as public transport services. The DILG orders the strict regulation of firecracker use this holiday season. Meanwhile, police arrest Japan's most wanted in Manila. More on these and other news around the metro from Janice Cave.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año has ordered the PNP and local government units to implement strict regulations on the use and sales of firecrackers. The DILG hopes to lower the number of firecracker-related injuries, fires, and other related incidents this year. The agency particularly warns against using prohibited firecrackers such as Watusi, Piccolo, Super Lolo, Atomic Triangle, and Large Judas Belt, among others. Meanwhile, Malacanang slammed the United Nations Special Rapporteur or UNSR for issuing irresponsible comments against the Duterte administration. This, as Special Rapporteur Michael Forst called on the government to stop violence against human rights defenders. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Salvador Panelo insists that the administration respects human rights and upholds its advocacies. He adds that certain groups are feeding false information to the UN and are using its statements to criticize the administration. Authorities arrested a 59-year-old Japanese national tagged as the leader of a major fraud ring in a joint operation of the Bureau of Immigration and Tokyo Interpol in Manila. Misao Kuyama, also known as Misao Kaminsukaso, is set to be deported to Japan, where he faces charges for allegedly selling other people's property by using forged land deals. Kuyama is allegedly one of the most wanted fugitives in his country. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, the government of Qatar seeks to sign more cooperation and trade agreements with the Philippines. Cebuanos are treated to free bus rides until Christmas Eve. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The Philippines hosted the IMO Regional and National Workshop on the ratification and implementation of the Hong Kong Convention, specifically for the promotion of safe and environmentally sound recycling of ships. From December 3 to 5, 2018, delegates from Bangladesh, China, Hong Kong, India, Vietnam, Pakistan, and the Philippines were further capacitated on the eventual ratification, implementation, and enforcement of the Hong Kong Convention. The Philippines recognizes the importance of IMO workshops in reinforcing the spirit of responsibility and solidarity among its member states that bear equal obligation in maintaining the highest standards in maritime safety, prevention of marine pollution, as well as shipping, navigation, and trade.
Today we are optimistic that this regional training course on the Hong Kong Convention will provide us with more opportunity to have a common understanding of its features and benefits in our respective jurisdictions.
Attorney Josephine Marie Oranza, IMO Regional Presence for Technical Cooperation in East Asia, emphasized that the Hong Kong Convention is the only workable instrument of ship recycling currently available for international shipping.
We are now looking forward to more countries to start the ratification process and see that the entry into force conditions will be met. I am pleased to see the mix of experience and expertise present here today, and extremely pleased also to see the participants from the top 4 ship recycling countries. In my humble opinion, your widespread knowledge and the involvement of major ship recycling countries will be key for the successful discussions which will take place in the next few days.
The workshop participants underwent comprehensive discussions on the best practices relative to the Hong Kong Convention. They also took advantage of the tour in Navota's shipbreaking sites to provide situational comments and suggestions for the further promotion of safe and environmentally sound recycling of ships among IMO member states.
The government of Qatar intends on increasing its bilateral cooperation with the Philippines as it looks into signing 10 more partnership agreements with the country. The Qatari embassy in Manila recently listed agreements expected to be signed in the near future. These include the fields of energy, customs law, youth sports, transnational crime, cooperation, central banks, education, human rights, military, and marine industries. Qatar Ambassador to the Philippines Ali Ibrahim Al-Malki described the two nations' ties as anchored on common interests, especially as Qatar hosts over 300,000 Filipino workers. He said the Gulf state seeks to increase cooperation and exchange between the two countries as a follow-up to President Rodrigo Duterte's trip to Doha last year. To improve services and widen the reach of telecom companies, the Department of Information and Communications Technology has tapped a private firm to put up more common cell sites around the country. Maricor Zapata has the story.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology has teamed up with local firm ISOC Infrastructures, which will become the country's first common tower provider. ISOC will establish cell towers that may be leased to telecom firms to expand their facilities and enhance their services. The ICT Acting Secretary Eliseo Rio Jr. says the sharing of common towers will help ensure fast and affordable internet services to the public. The Memorandum of Understanding with DICT mandates ISOC to work with telco companies for the rollout of the cell sites, especially in areas across the country that need access and connectivity. The DICT will facilitate the permitting and regulatory process, help identify and provide sites for the towers, such as public buildings, government lots, among others. ISOC Infra Chairman Michael Cosiquien is optimistic that the tower sharing initiative will not only benefit the telcos, but the government as well. CT is eyeing to craft a policy that will allow the establishment of more common cell tower providers in the country. Currently, the Philippines has the lowest cell density in Asia compared with neighboring countries like India, Indonesia, China, and Vietnam. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
The Department of Trade and Industry in Western Visayas assures that the region still has enough supply of Noche Buena goods for 4 days before Christmas. Consumer Protection Division Chief Felisa Judith Degala says suppliers and establishments made assurances they have enough supply. She added that Noche Buena items like ham, pasta, and fruit cocktails, among others, are currently in demand. Based on the latest monitoring of DTI 6, establishments are following the suggested retail price released early this December. Degala says they are also monitoring the sale of Christmas lights, which are in demand during the holiday season. The DTI is now waiting for the list of manufacturers allowed to produce firecrackers and fireworks from the Bureau of Philippine Standards. More than 1,000 children in Talingo, Davao del Norte received gifts from troopers of the Army's 56th Infantry Battalion during its 3-day Pamaskong Handog. The children, who are members of indigenous tribes, also played games and were treated to a simple meal together with their parents. Lieutenant Colonel Edwin Paredes, 56 1B Commander, said the activity was a troop's simple way of giving back in the spirit of the Yuletide season. Sitio leader Jomar Mandalisan, meanwhile, said the Army's gift-giving activity meant a lot for the IP communities and made them feel the spirit of Christmas. Indigent residents in Pampanga receive livelihood packages from the government. Meanwhile, Cebuanos are given a chance to enjoy free bus rides until Christmas Eve. More on these stories from the provinces from Janice Cave.
The Department of Labor and Employment has provided various livelihood assistance to the marginalized sectors in Lubao, Pampanga. DOLE distributed 1.2 million pesos worth of livelihood assistance to persons with disabilities, fisherfolk, farmers, and ambulant vendors. The local government unit of Lubao also disbursed 201,000 pesos as startup capital for the beneficiaries. In Cebu, commuters can enjoy free bus rides until Christmas Eve under the Ligtas Biyahe Libreng Sakay Pamasko 2018. The project is a Christmas gift of President Rodrigo Duterte and former Special Assistant Bongo to the Cebuanos. The free bus rides, which will take passengers outbound in specially indicated spots, could be availed starting at 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. Meanwhile, authorities seized 7.6 million pesos worth of shabu in a buy-bust operation at Upper Mahayahay, Barangay Punao in San Carlos City, Negros Occidental. 2 drug personalities were also arrested. Huge volumes of shabu have been seized in the northern Negros City in the past months, the largest being about 72 million pesos in August. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the government prepares for the 500th anniversary of Christianity in the Philippines. Marawi residents learn ways to improve hygiene and sanitation. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
You have the size of the facility, but it should be organized slightly more economically and more safely. But it's not impossible, but you need help. The issues I see first here is hardly any permeable flooring, so there is direct leakage into the ground. The PPE of the people seems to be in order, so the worker safety seems to be a point of positive effect. I have not seen the operation, how they lift materials from ships, so I cannot comment on that. But taking it, seeing the material that they have, they can run a safe operation.
In India, what we are doing is, every worker working here, they have to be trained first. We'll give training, 1 week training on the safety, on the welding, we'll give training. After training only, they will get an identity card. Then only they can work here, otherwise they can't work.
And the training is provided for free?
Yes, it is free. The government of India is provided. Training is 1 week to 15 days, and every 5 years they have to refresh. Not that one time finish, no. Every 5 years you have to come back and retrain again.
For free again?
Free again.
Okay naman. Very supportive, very supportive and very flexible yung mga taga Manila, madali naman kausap. Yun nga lang, kailangan natin siyempre sumunod dun kung ano hinihingi nila, which is the permits, the DNR, the mayor's permit. Yan lang naman. Very supportive. Kami, we're always looking for kailangan natin new technology. It's about time to have our own safety and to improve the services of shipping. Malaking factor kasi sa amin yung local government namin. Nakasuporta, nakatulong, kung ano yung kailangan namin. Nakasuporta sila sa industriya na meron kami.
Before going back to their respective home countries, the participants committed to set the way forward for the eventual ratification of the Hong Kong Convention.
The national costume of Miss Universe Catriona Gray takes center stage in the official launch of the National Quincentennial Committee. The committee is tasked to prepare for the 500th anniversary of the victory at Mactan, introduction of Christianity in the Philippines, and circumnavigation of the world in 2021. Gray's national costume features the motifs of the tattoos of the 16th century Visayan warriors, which created a massive awareness about early Philippine history. The government is also unveiling the committee's official website along with a commemorative logo and the presentation of the plans for the quincentennial. In our foreign news, Saudi Arabia is conducting the major reform of its General Intelligence Presidency after the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. A ministerial committee has decided to create smaller internal departments as well as establish an internal review within the intelligence agency. Saudi Arabia vows to continue development of its institutions to achieve best international practices. The reforms are pushed amid backlash over the death of Khashoggi, a U.S. resident and columnist for the Washington Post. Following more than 2 weeks of denial, Saudi Arabia admitted that Khashoggi had been killed in a brawl inside the consulate in Istanbul. At least 18 people have been arrested, and the country's deputy intelligence chief has been fired. The Esports National Association of the Philippines, or SNAP, clarifies reports of certain titles to be played in the Southeast Asian Games next year. SNAP President Gov't says reports circulating on the esports titles to be played at the event are outdated. It was reported that NBA, 2K, Tekken 7, Hearthstone, and Dota 2 are the games that will be played in the SEA Games esports events, with separate tournaments for Hearthstone and Dota 2 to be played by both genders. However, says these are not yet final. Esports will be played as a major event in the SEA Games for the first time. The Department of Health has held a workshop in Marawi City to address the health and cleanliness concerns of displaced residents. More on this from Calvin Penaco.
The Department of Health, or DOH, conducted the Marawi Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, or WASH Sustainability Planning Workshop in Iligan City to better address the WASH concerns of Marawi internally displaced persons, or IDPs. The event aimed to review and highlight present critical WASH-related needs of IDPs, ongoing and planned interventions and outstanding gaps, to formulate a strategic plan to sustain and expand gains from previous WASH responses, and to further formalize the formation of the Marawi Mindanao Humanitarian WASH Cluster.
The LGU Marawi Humanitarian WASH Cluster strategic planning is intended to really reactivate this group and to focus on the formulating the plan and then the operational plan to formulate concrete activities that would address the WASH concerns inside Marawi, especially still those pressing concerns inside our protection camps as well as the transitory sites.
Officer in charge of DOH 10 Satellite Operations Center, Dr. Siegfried Hector Razo, personally attended the event and participated in the workshop. He added that the workshop also sought to strengthen the WASH task force and the organic employees inside the local government unit of Marawi to formulate and address the regular WASH-related concerns, since one of the greatest challenges they face is the absence of such task force.
We need their plans as well as their organizational structure in who will handle these roles and responsibilities for WASH, so that we will know where we can intervene and help them in WASH-related concerns.
The event was attended by representatives from the local government unit of Marawi, its government agencies, and non-governmental organizations like Action Against Hunger and Oxfam in the Philippines. The discussions covered the public health significance of WASH, the types of displacement caused by the Marawi siege, and a review of the Task Force Bangon Marawi Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Program. The workshop activities included needs responses gaps analysis, setting a vision on the Marawi situation after 3 years, setting overall goals on WASH sustainability, formulating strategic objectives, identifying sectoral strategies, and anticipating challenges. Razo encouraged officials and organizations involved in Marawi's rehabilitation to incorporate WASH in their projects and activities.
If ever may mga housing projects, we really need to abide with the standards and designs for WASH. toilet facility as well as sewage.
For the PNA Newsroom, Calvin Pinaco, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
After a bullying incident in Ateneo goes viral, DepEd orders schools to implement measures against bullying. The government of Qatar seeks to sign more cooperation and trade agreements with the Philippines. The DENR prepares measures to clean up and prevent pollution in Manila Bay. And the government prepares for the 500th anniversary of Christianity in the Philippines.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. It's 3 days to go before Christmas. Enjoy your last-minute Christmas shopping. That's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.